Practice transfers often so that you become proficient at the task before you try to lift a resident. Practice lifts from bed to wheelchair or chair, and from chair to bed. Read and understand the owner-operator's manual. Safety is most important when performing lifts, and that includes your safety. Always use good body mechanics. Keep your center of gravity low and use your leg muscles. Separate your legs to establish a broad base of support. Keep your spine in natural alignment and never twist while lifting. Always inspect the resident's sling before using it. Check for wear, tears, and loose stitching. Bleached, torn, cut, frayed, or broken slings are unsafe and should not be used. Invicare's Rose and Reliant series of stand-up lifts are valuable tools for transferring partial weight-bearing residents as well as those needing rehabilitation support. These battery-powered lifts make it easier to assist most residents from one seated surface to another seated surface. Invicare's stand-up lifts are made up of 3 assemblies: the base, the mast, and the boom, or lift arms. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up, beginning with the base. The base rides on these 4 low-friction casters which are mounted to the legs. The 2 rear casters are lockable. The base has a foot plate and 2 easily adjustable and locking legs. It's crucial that the legs be fully opened when lifting a resident. They must be fully open to ensure proper weight distribution and balance. Rose lifts and some Reliant lifts have motorized legs that open and close with the touch of a button. Other Reliant lifts have manually operated legs. To make adjustments on these, you have to use the padded shift handle. It's pretty simple. To open the legs, grab the shifter handle with one hand and the steering handle with the other hand. Pull back on the shifter handle and move the handle to the right. The legs will open. Make sure that the handle drops into this slot to lock the legs into place. To close the legs, just reverse the process. Grab the shifter handle with one hand and the steering handle with the other. Pull back and move the shifter handle to the left, and the legs will close. Again, make sure the handle drops into this slot to lock the legs into place. Moving up the unit is the mast. On the battery-powered Rose and Reliant lifts, you'll find ergonomically designed push handles, a hand pendant which houses the operator's controls, a battery, control box, and the actuator which actually lifts the patient. The mast also posts the unit's weight capacity for a quick safety reference. Attached to the mast are the lifting arms, to which the sling attaches. On the Reliant 350 and Reliant 440, the sling secures onto one of these 3 knobs. If you're lifting a tall person, someone over 5 feet 10, then use these knobs on the end. If you're lifting a person of medium height, someone between 5'6" and 5'10", then use the knobs in the middle. And if you're lifting a shorter person, someone 5'6" or shorter, then use the knobs closest to the mast. On the Rose lift, the sling is attached at the end of the lifting arm. Power for these lifts comes from a 24-volt battery. Each unit comes with 2 batteries and a wall-mountable battery charger. So you can have one battery powering the lift while the other battery is on the charger. It takes about 4 hours to fully charge a battery. You can make about 200 lifts before a battery needs charging, and you'll know when it needs to be recharged because this alarm will go off when the battery is low. With Rose lifts, the charger is designed so that you can mount it on the wall or on the lift itself. The Rose control box has a visual battery indicator that's like a fuel gauge, so you can know at a glance how much power is left. On both units, replacing the battery is easy. First, squeeze the handle here on top. This will unlock the battery from the mount. Pull the battery towards you to clear the bracket. Then, lift the battery up and towards you. You might find it easier if you use two hands for this part. Mount a fresh battery by sliding it along the bracket until it rests in the cradle. Then push it away from you until you hear it click into place. Place the drained battery on the battery charger the same way. Just slide it down and push it away until you hear it click. If the charger is plugged in, this green light will be on. And if you have properly installed the battery, this LED will light up to let you know that the battery is being charged. When the battery is fully charged, the LED will go out. It's recommended that you leave the battery on the charger until you need to use it. The charger will trickle charge the battery to make sure that it's always at full capacity. And daily charging will prolong the life of the batteries. If for some reason you need to shut off all power to the lift, you can deactivate it by pushing in the stop button on the control box. To restore power, rotate the stop button to the right. It's very unlikely, but if you ever need to lower the lift and the power unit fails, you can safely lower the boom by activating the emergency release. Invacare lifts have two, a primary emergency release and a secondary emergency release. To activate the primary release, insert a pen or similar object into this hole on the control box. It's labeled Emergency Down. This will cause the actuator to retract and slowly lower the boom. If that doesn't work, or you can't get to it, you can use the secondary mechanical emergency release, which is located here near the base of the actuator. To activate the secondary release, pull up on the emergency tab and push down on the boom at the same time. This will slowly lower the boom. There must be weight on the boom for this mechanical release to function. The primary emergency releases on Rose lifts are more sophisticated. They're here on the control box. There's an emergency up and an emergency down release. Like the Reliant release, insert a pen or like object into the appropriate hole, up if you want to raise the lift, or down if you want to lower it. This will move the actuator independently of the hand-pendant controls. Another safety feature on battery-powered Invacare lifts is the anti-entrapment capability. The unit has a sensor inside that automatically stops the boom if the lift meets resistance as it lowers. Although one lift works for multiple residents, it's recommended that each resident be issued their own individual sling that corresponds to their size, medical condition, and the type of transfer that they require. Invacare slings are constructed of soft, durable, solid fabric with padded areas for extra comfort. They feature multiple hookup loops so they can be adjusted to the resident's body size. Standing slings are for residents who have both neck and head control and can support the majority of their own weight. They provide support from around the torso. Transfer slings are for residents who have neck and head control and can support at least a minimal amount of their own weight. They hook under the resident's legs and support the torso. When selecting a sling, be sure to consider the resident's weight and their ability to bear weight. Always check with a physician before selecting a sling. Although Invacare lifts have been designed so they can be operated safely by one caregiver, it's recommended that two caregivers perform all resident transfers. Before you attempt any kind of a lift, make sure that you understand the resident's limitations and ability to assist with the transfer. It's a good idea to communicate with the resident throughout the process. Let them know about each step before you perform it so that the resident is comfortable. If you explain each step as you work through it, your resident will learn the routine and become comfortable with it. Let's watch some typical transfers using a stand-up lift.